Good morning, everyone. It's November 6, 2009. It's a Friday, and we do have Northwest Swell building now. It will be getting bigger, though, over the weekend. Wanted to show you everything that's happened on the models to bring this all together. What it also means for some surf that'll be really rocking north of Point Conception will be somewhat smaller, though, as it's more steep angled and harder to get into Southern California. Also, we have a low-pressure system moving through right now. We're going to have a change in winds, a little bit of change in weather, too, over the weekends, although it's not necessarily all bad news. We also are headed in for a tidal swing. We're still at the tail end of that, so we still have some deep tides to deal with over the weekend. I wanted to show you, though, everything that's going on that's bringing us all together, what the swell means for the weekend. This is what's going on right now. Starting out looking at the wave models, we can see we still got some 40-foot seas up in this fetch that's been riding up in the Gulf of Alaska. Still hasn't progressed that far south. It's still mostly well above 40 north. It needs to get below 40 north to really bring some rock and surf to Southern California. Still a lot of swell is headed our way, and that has been forming nicely over the last couple days in the Gulf, so we are going to be seeing a good amount of wave energy start spreading our way. So I wanted to show you, moving the models forward in time, we can see how that's going to be progressing. Starting to see a little bit more of that as we move in over the next 12 hours or so, starting to really progress down in toward the California coast. A lot of wave energy headed our way then into the weekend. We can see that then by Saturday, really starting to fill in toward the outer waters around Southern California, and also by Sunday then quite a bit of fetch still out in the outer water, still a lot up and around Northern California, and of course across Oregon and Washington as well. Taking a close-up zoom of the west coast here, we can actually see what's going on using this NOAA model. We can see that there's a lot of fetch really riding high north. This is actually a look at just today, seeing how much energy is really around Washington and the Oregon border. As we start moving the models forward in time, we can start seeing how that progresses then southward. Notice, though, the angle of that. Those arrows are actually pointing almost directly north and south. That's showing a very steep swell angle for Southern California. As we can see, even when we get towards Sunday's time frame, there's a lot of energy that skirts past the Southern California area, so a lot of that energy doesn't make it into SoCal water. That's why there's a lot of energy up around Northern California, a lot around Central California, but then around Southern California, it's got to bend around Point Conception, come in our way, and just not as much is going to be coming in, but we still have some significant size in the swell headed our way. We can see that by these automated wave charts. You can grab these anytime off my site, wavecast.com. We can see this is actually looking more toward Sunset Cliffs, more of a standout west-facing break in the Sunset Cliff report. We can see that there's a little bit of swell that's building now. We can see that even on Saturday, we're going to be seeing some northwest swell come in. But then by Sunday, that's looking to really rock. We're looking at face heights around 9-10 feet. That's looking to be quite sizable around the standout west-facing breaks, probably about double overhead. Most west-facing breaks, though, I'm calling for head high to just a few feet overhead when this does peak on Sunday, but double overhead is still definitely not out of the question, especially for the standout west-facing breaks. Looking at conditions over the weekend, not looking too bad. I wanted to show you why on the weather models that's all coming together fairly well. We do have a low-pressure system sitting off the coast right now, more of a cutoff low. It's a little blob of red. Also seeing a lot of that low pressure up in the north. That's associated with that swell-making system that's bringing us the northwester over the weekend. But that cutoff low is the one that will be affecting our weather and winds. More or less just, though, today, Friday, as that low starts to progress through the area, we've got some north to south gradients on the back side of that, so we'll be seeing some winds out of that. As we move more into the weekend, though, in toward the Saturday to Sunday time frame, especially more Sunday, we can see high pressure wanting to build. A little bit of ridge starting to push up from the down from the south. And then as we get into the Sunday time frame, a lot more high pressure over the area. It's not a lot of high pressure that would cause a Santa Ana, but still should create a nice slight offshore effect for the morning hours with some north-northeast winds. And then in the afternoon, some moderate onshores. So taking a look at one of the wind forecasts over at wavecast.com around Southern California, we can see that there's a possibility of seeing some north-northwest winds starting to fill in throughout the afternoon, possibly becoming 16-18 miles an hour or more. But then when we get into the Saturday time frame, we see that those northerly winds tend to calm down a little bit, still seeing them in the afternoon onshore flow. But then by Sunday, it looks like we're going to be seeing a little bit better angle on the winds, more of an east-northeast direction, and of course then calming over the next couple of days. We are, though, in the midst of a tidal swing. It will be improving over the next few days, though we can see here tides around San Diego at least well over 6 feet. Most of Southern California very indicative and very similar to this as well. Where we're seeing the tides, though, now the high today on Friday, not hitting quite as early as it was in the morning. And over the weekends, of course, that high tide will be hitting later, more like around noon and early afternoon, allowing some of those morning sessions with those offshore winds, especially on Sunday when the swell peaks, to not see such a radical high tide. Tide will be building, though, throughout the morning, adding some tidal push, and so with also some consistent seas, there is some caution to be aware of there. So that's how it's looking for the weekend when this northwest swell does fill in. Once again, some caution should be observed over the weekend as this does fill in. There will be rip tides almost inevitably, so watch out, especially during the outgoing tides. And if you're not as familiar with the bigger waves and surfing those, you might want to just stay on the shore. There's no harm in that. When in doubt, just don't go out. Wait for the swell to back down a little bit more. It's always best to be able to surf another day. But it looks like we're going to be seeing that, though, peak on Sunday. My call right now is for the standout west-facing breaks to see double overhead surf. Most west-facing breaks, at least consistent head high to a few feet overhead. Wouldn't be surprised if some of the standout west-facing breaks may see some stuff going well over double overhead, but I'm not going to call that right now. As far as northern and central California, we're looking at waves that could be breaking in the 20 to 25 foot range, so extreme caution obviously observed north of Point Conception as well. Well, that's how everything's wrapping up right now. If you always want to follow my latest Twitter reports, you can follow that on twitter.com/wavecast to keep updated on what's breaking in Southern California. Also, you can always check out 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, my free forecasting site, wavecast.com. So until next time, take care, be safe, and smile in the lineup.